Drop. It's fucking sweet.
Hey everybody! The GMG pregame show is about to start. Grab your favorite beverage of choice. Sit down. Get ready to communicate with us. And let's go! GMG's pregame show is about to start. That's what the countdown timer is for. Are you ready? The guys are ready to break down the game. Let's go, Vikings! SKOL! What that means, it's time. SKOL! And the screen went to black, but here we are coming into Wednesday night, Vlogmas Day 23, and it's time to talk about the Vikings at the Saints. But first, short and sweet introductions. Below me, the one and only, from the uber cold, frozen north, we have the drone master, Ryno, king of the jungle.
What's up, boys?
Hey, in the other bottom corner, we have the magnificent.
The other bottom corner. Fucking beautiful.
One and only.
That's what she said.
Drewster, the base ripper.
What up, dudes?
Hey.
What up, dudes?
And of course,
in the other corner,
to your viewers right on top,
parts unknown,
we have the man with big brass balls, Mr. Ted Glover.
How you doing, boys? If I was any better, I'd be against the law. Let's light this candle. Let's go.
Yes!
Boom!
Before we start,
Ruby knows who the Roadrunner is, Drew.
Before we start, let's give a shout out to everybody in the military who can't be home with their family and their friends on the holidays. It always bugs me that they can't be home. So shout out to them before we even take off today.
Amen. Amen. Thanks for walking the fence and keeping the bad guys at bay, boys and girls.
Yep.
There we go.
Appreciate it.
What head coach am I?
Les Steckel. Brad Childress.
No, that guy in the Jets, dude.
The taco
Adam
watcher.
Gase. Marty
Adam
Feldman.
Gase.
The next Minnesota Vikings head coach.
Thank David.
Don't even say shit like that, Dave.
Merry Christmas
Well, it makes
Eve,
me feel-
Eve to that.
Yeah, Eve to that. Look at that. But hey, we got a game. Speaking of Christmas, on Christmas Day, it is the only one the NFL is broadcasting, and it features your Minnesota Vikings going down to New Orleans to spoil, hopefully, their bid or their attempt to get the number one seed in the NFC. Because nothing warms my heart over beating two teams, the Packers and the Saints. And we'll see what happens. Drew, you want to start us off tonight?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this game. I know the Vikings have seemed to have had the Saints number. They've knocked them out of some pretty big games the last couple of years, which I've been happy with. But this is certainly not the same team going in there, Eve, going in there in 2 days. It's going to take on the Saints that we've had in either of those matchups. So no pressure on Kirk Cousins. Maybe he'll play better. It would be nice to beat the Saints just because we've been a thorn in their shoe. Is that what it is? Is it a thorn in your sock? What is it? Some kind of thorn.
Thorn in your side.
Thorn in their side. We have been a pain in their ass, and I would like us to go in there and take care of business.
That works too.
It would be nice.
Thorn in their ass. I don't know. I don't really. I mean, how confident can we feel about this Vikings team right now? But we got 2 games to play out and see how we finish up. But
shall we look at the numbers?
See. Brees back. Really slow start last week, 0 for 6, but he's back now. The numbers, basically you want to look at you can tell the seasons kind of point to the turnover ratio on each side. The Saints have a really solid defense, as you see there, 3rd, 5th, 4th, and 6th straight across the board from points allowed per game all the way down to the rush and pass defense. The Vikings are right where they've been all season in the mid-20s defensively, which is really hard to see. I know that probably bugs Zimmer a lot too. But
you know it.
We play it out. We're going to play it out and see what happens. And the Saints, if they can't be motivated to play the Vikings after what we've done to them the last few years, I don't know what to say about that. But Saints have a good team all the way around. They have a good squad.
PFF has the numbers about the same. They have our
Oh,
offensive
with the
rankings
lines. Here we go.
a little bit better, but that defense is going to.
Dave's daily nerd porn.
Yes.
I like the ELO ranking.
Yeah.
Don't bring me down.
Well, that's basically their overall, and that's what it looks like. Saints are -7, over under 51. Ryno, do you see a way the Vikings could win?
Oh, there's always a way. I mean, nobody gave us a chance. We went in there for the wild card game last year, and we ended up winning the thing. But looking at our,
I think that game was a little bit closer, and the teams were a little bit closer. And
oh yeah, I'm not arguing that
talent.
point. But I mean, it's the any given Sunday thing. I mean, the freaking Jets beat the Rams last weekend, so that just proves that on any given day anything can happen.
True.
No. I mean, you look at our injury report today. I mean, there's 7 players that are still DNP as of Wednesday. We play Friday.
Speaking of which,
So, I mean, we've got an awful lot of guys there that have been in one way, shape, or form forced to do a lot of contributing this year that may not be playing on Friday. So,
well, let's look. Jalen Holmes is a defensive starter. Armon Watts is a backup. Todd Davis is technically a backup, but he's been starting. You have Troy Dye. He was a backup, but he's been starting. You have go down to Eric Kendricks, of course, is the great Eric Kendricks, but he's been out for weeks. You got Hercules Mataafa, who's a backup, who's limited. And Jaleel and Afeti, both limited. all on the defense.
And Dantzler.
Leave that.
And Dantzler.
Hey,
yes.
leave that up there for a second. Hey, Ted,
Yeah.
Todd. I'm going to read these names off to you. You tell me if they're Minnesota Vikings roster next year. Jalen Holmes,
No.
Armin Watts,
Depends on the draft.
Todd Davis,
Yes.
Troy Dye,
No. Please God, no.
Alexander Madison,
Yes.
CJ Ham,
He's getting. I don't know. I want to say yes, but undecided.
I'll skip the next one. We all know Kendricks is going to be here. Kyle Rudolph,
No.
Hercules Matafa,
Yes.
Jaleel Johnson,
No.
Odenabo.
Yes, and yes for Dantzler.
Okay, I just wanted to throw that. Dave, I did not
Kinda-
mean to steal the.
No, that's
show
quite
there.
all right. We're going to go that way. Ooh, looky there.
Look who's here.
We've got a surprise.
Well.
For Christ's sake,
Look what the cat dragged in.
Wait, don't we have a closed studio? Who let that guy in here?
I don't know.
Somebody didn't lock the damn door when we came in.
No, I have no. It only took me 3 different web browsers to get here, but by God, we finally got here.
Shit, we thought we had them all blocked too. Damn it.
Whatever we're paying security, fire them and get new guys. That's all I'm saying.
Ted,
It's,
I didn't
it's
mean
not
to throw
enough,
that
whatever it
list
is.
at you willy-nilly. I didn't mean to.
No,
throw
that's
that
good.
list at you.
I
thought
that's
of it
good.
right when I saw it.
I think there's some definite guys that have to be gone. I mean, that should be gone, whether they will be or not. There's obviously going to be guys that are going to be back. There's, I think Kyle Rudolph's a big question on that list, and yeah, that's a good question. It's going to be interesting to see based on how this season has played out and what happens with the coaching staff and the front office, which I don't think there will be a whole lot. I think the head coach and the GM return. When you add all that up with the salary cap implications the Vikings already have, plus the expected reduction in the cap because of COVID and the drop in revenue, it's going to be a really interesting offseason. Yes, for the Vikings, but I mean, there's going to be 32 teams that are going to be scrambling. There's going to be guys that are not that are going to get cut on the first day of the year, whenever cuts have to be made, that we don't see coming. It's going to blow our mind how many really good football players are going to get cut because of the salary cap reduction next year, unless the NFL does something to address it, which they could.
Well, they've talked about, which I haven't heard is approved, bumping it from 175 to 195, but they're not going above 195. Now, before we get into that sort of talk, we were sitting there seeing who joined us. If you don't know, down there in the bottom right-hand corner is Mr. Christopher Gates, the Grand Poobah of the Daily Norseman. How are you doing, Chris?
I am doing all right. I wish the Minnesota Vikings were doing as well as I am, but they're not, and that's a damn shame because the competitive portion of our season is probably going to come to an end, unfortunately, on Friday afternoon, from all indications.
Okay. Hey, I want to first off acknowledge Ted, Ruby, Reggie, LeBoy, Clifford. Glad you guys have joined us, and we'll be commenting on some of the stuff you post here shortly.
I especially want to say something to that Ruby lady. I was wondering if she'd like to talk after the show a little bit.
How does she know that you know that she knows the Roadrunner? That's weird, man. That's just weird.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Me likey some Ruby. All right,
All right.
Wow.
Oh,
Christopher
that's bad.
Gates. My God, Chris Gates is here.
I am.
Chris.
Give us. I know you've been.
Yeah.
Give us some info, baby. Let's hear it. Give us the Viking. What's hot off the presses, Viking wise?
I don't know nothing about nothing at this point. I'm just like, everything that happens with this team, I'm just as amazed as everyone else by it at this point. I mean, apparently the
Good
entire
answer.
defense is injured. I'm not sure who we're going to get to play. I'm not sure who we've had to play defensive tackle all year anyway, but I'm not sure who we're going to get to do the job now. But Yeah, I mean, you were talking about guys who may or may not be back next year on the defense, and honestly, there's like 6 guys on the defensive side of the ball that have suited up this year that I actually care about whether or not they're back next season. And other than like those 5 or 6 guys and Danielle Hunter and Michael Pierce, I don't give a damn if you're back as a member of the Vikings defense next year because I mean, if you're not Harrison Smith, Eric Wilson, Eric Kendricks, DJ Wanham, Jeff Gladney, or Cameron Dantzler, I don't care if you're back next year because you've been bad this season. You've been not very good.
I would add one guy to that list. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Finish, Chris. I'm sorry.
There's a reason that a guy who last suited up for the Vikings before the bye week is still the team leader in sacks, and that's bad.
That's
bad.
Every time I see that stat, I just have to shake my head because
it was like I think it was like 2012 when Percy Harvin didn't play the second half of the season and still managed to lead the Vikings in receiving yardage. That was
I remember that.
Back in the Michael Jenkins era of Vikings.
When he threw a weight at Leslie Frazier, and by the way, Michael Jenkins had that great touchdown catch to beat the Packers to get in the playoffs in like quadruple coverage. And what school did Michael Jenkins go to? That's right, baby. The Ohio State University. Michael, holy Buckeye, 4th and 14 Jenkins. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Chris.
I should have said Robert Ferguson.
Sorry.
Wake up, Drew.
Chris.
Sir.
Daily Norseman was around for this game. What do you remember of it?
Oh, Jesus. Don't. Why? Dave, why?
Dave, why do you do that shit to us?
I'm just going through some of the history.
I will say that the one positive.
Yeah.
I will say that the one positive thing about this game is I believe it was the game that finally got Ted to come on board as one of our front page guys.
It was about that time period. Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was right around there. That was the only positive to come out of that entire experience because Jesus, it was bad. If I were more of a drinker, I would have been passed out on my floor that night. It would have been just it would have been terrible. But yeah, all I remember is thinking that we had an opportunity, and we had an opportunity, and in perfect Vikings fashion, the opportunity just left, and we didn't get it back again. And that's just how things are with this team.
Yeah, I started writing for the front page of Daily Norseman the week of that game, and one of my more, I guess, I don't. Timeless, that's kind of arrogant. I don't know. One of my more favorite pieces that I wrote was right after that game. I kind of relived the conversation my dad and I had after that game when I took him home. He was still he was still living in an apartment here. He had moved up. He was still waiting to get into assisted living place. But yeah, we had a nice philosophical conversation about after that game. Yeah, thanks for bringing up that memory.
And it was worse because at the time I was stationed down south about an hour and a half from New Orleans, and that just made it infinitely worse because there was just Saints crap all over the place, and it only got worse a couple years later when all the bounty garbage came out because it just made you mad all over again. Yeah, it was bad.
Well, this next memory, Drew and I had already started GMG. Drew, you remember that one?
Yeah, I do. That was quite the finish. And what was doubly weird about it is, we watched the games on volume 0 here at Bunting Manor. So when it happened, you didn't have the volume of the TV, and I was looking at Ruby, and she was looking at me, and we were going. So we were like time-lapsed on the celebration after he already got in the end zone. But that was a hell of a finish.
So from my perspective, a little inside blogging, whatever. Basically, whenever we have games like this, I have God knows how many different browser tabs open, and I generally do like my recap for the game as the game is going along. Like on the site, we have the threads for each quarter, and then we have like the big one that comes off at the end. And so I'm sitting there, and I have my recap like 75% written. Is like, oh, the Vikings had an opportunity, and it's blah blah blah, and it gets to the last play, and I'm up here, I'm watching it on TV. My dog is wandering around in front of the TV when the play happens. I scared the hell out of the dog. It was the poor dog. She's like 10 pounds. I'm surprised she didn't just like jump out of her skin. But, I'm celebrating and whatever. And then after 30 seconds, it hits me that like 75% of my story is now wrong. So I have to go back. So I have to go back and just redo the entire game recap in like 60 seconds because I had to go from, oh crap, we blew it again and we lost, to holy crap, this never happens to us and we actually won. But yeah, so that was cool. But and then the season ended and nothing happened after that. It was pretty awesome. It was weird that the season ended after the divisional playoffs like that.
Yeah, it's strange, bizarre.
I had to do wall repair after that game because when the Saints kicked that field goal, went ahead. I walked over by the dining room table and there was a 2-liter bottle of pop sitting on there, and I just whap and the thing bounced off the ground and went up, put a hole in my sheetrock in the kitchen, and then 30 seconds later we scored a touchdown and wins. So then I was at Menards the next day getting sheetrock patch.
I literally, so my youngest daughter and her then fiance, now husband, were over, and my wife were sitting at the kitchen table. I was sitting in my chair in the living room, and my wife, I mean, it was like, I'm all, the Vikings choked, this friggin' team. Why do I cheer for this team? My wife's trying to console me. She's like, honey, they still have a chance. I'm like, no, they don't. Just be quiet. She just kind of slinked away. Diggs catches it, runs for the end zone, and I literally ran up and down my stairs for 2 minutes, going, "Oh my God, they won! They won! I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with my hands." It was like that was like the best Vikings moment until they win a Super Bowl ever for me.
And the furthest you've run in 10 years.
Yeah.
I about had to check myself in the emergency room about 2 hours later.
That was,
I thought I was having a heart attack.
Ryno, this was last year. What did you think of that one?
That was,
overtime
that was one game,
in the playoffs.
Overtime, that was one game where Kirk showed us what he's capable of last year. The drive getting down there, that deep bomb to Thielen right before this play. He dropped it right in there just perfectly, and then this throw to Rudolph in the end zone that finished it off. I mean, like you said earlier, Dave, the two greatest things as a Vikings fan are seeing us beat that team from Wisconsin and the Bounty Gate cheaters from down in the bayou.
put that picture back up. Put it up there. What do we got going on there? Cameraman, janitor, cameraman. What in the hell is that? Who is that guy? Is that the mob boss waiting to kill
One
Zimmer?
of these things is not like the other. One of them.
Look, mob boss wearing one of those waist
Green vest.
Empire waist green. Sorry.
Yeah,
That's
but
not my eye.
look
In
at
case you
the
guys knew who it
cameras.
was.
Look at all the lenses. Where are the lenses pointed?
I don't know. Well, the guy's not even looking at the
know.
play. The
They're
mob boss.
they're
He's looking
pointed
across
about the
field.
level of Williams' chest or Rudolph's ass. They're not up at the ball. The only one up the ball is the guy on the right on his knees.
Because that's the
Let's-
furthest Kyle Rudolph's been off the ground since he was at Notre Dame, for Christ's sake. What the hell?
Let's check out. No, go back. Go to that picture. Go to the fans. Let's go to the fans in the first row back there.
Look at the guy.
So you've got
Look at the guy.
You've, on the far left, you've got lady wearing the green army camo shirt, pointing at Rudolph, going, "You drop it, you SOB." Then you got the gal to her immediate right who's drunk and doesn't know what's going on. Then you got old
Right.
boy to her left who's looks like he's wearing a Bobby Hebert jersey, and he looks like he's getting ready to bend over the railing and throw up. He has no idea what's going on.
Yeah,
And everybody
he
else,
got the free ticket, Ted.
everybody
He got
else,
the free
the
ticket
dude
to
in
go.
the gold jersey or the gold number jersey to his left is realizing what's happened, going, "Oh my God! For the second year in a row, we got beat. We got beat by the Vikings on a weird play, and the year before that, we got beat by the friggin' Rams, led by Jared friggin' Goff. What is wrong with us? Why do we cheer for this team?"
The guy that's wearing number 9 knows what's happening. You're right. He has a totally.
Yeah.
He knows it's coming, man. Oh, that was brilliantly done, Ted Glover. Ted Glover went right down the line, explaining it perfectly. We have a lot of fun even with one photo, don't we?
Yep.
I like breaking down photos here at GMG.
Can we go back to the? You don't have to put the miracle picture up again. But I find it, I've kind of been reflecting on that game, since we brought it up and what's transpired since then, and I it's one of those only the Vikings things. I think the most monumental play, the most monumental individual play in franchise history was barely 3 years ago, made by a guy on his rookie contract or just signed a contract extension.
He was on his,
and that dude is no longer on this football team.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think of it that way, and you look to where this team is today, in 2020 at 6-8, and we're not talking about this game coming up because we think the Vikes are going to get bent over a table and just humiliated on TV. At least I hope they don't. But the way things going,
the words I said last night was curb stomped.
I mean, it doesn't bode well. It's a good thing I have grandsons in my house on Christmas, and this game will be but a flash in the pan for me, because at the beginning of the season, when the schedule first came out, I thought, man, this could be a game for all the marbles on Christmas Day. This could be like one of the marquee matchups in the NFL season, and it's just not, and because the Vikings have not lived up to their end of the bargain, and look what this franchise has done in that 3 short years from that moment in Minneapolis when Stephon Diggs cemented himself as a Minnesota legend forever, and he's not even on the team anymore. I mean, like, how does that happen? I mean, I get it if it's like Favre in 2009 and he won the game and rode off into the sunset, but it shouldn't be a guy like Diggs that young and that early in his career. Yet here we are, and I just think it's a lot of mismanagement, and it's a lot of
the reason.
A lot of bad calls that have gotten to this point.
It's the offensive philosophy and not featuring the pass game, which is beneficial to Diggs. Diggs took it as hey, if I want to maximize my career, I need to go someplace that'll throw the ball more than just, on dink and dunks. And it was a smart, I don't blame him. It was a smart move
not at all.
on his part.
No?
Hopefully Justin Jefferson doesn't fall into that trap.
I think, if Diggs was canary in the coal mine about this team last year, that little clip we saw of Jefferson and the cussing at Kirk after he missed a throw in the end zone, I kind of feel like if Diggs was the canary in the coal mine, instead of airing out the mine shaft, the Vikings just brought in another canary.
Could be.
And we're going to be in the same spot with Jefferson in 2 or 3 years.
And if
nothing changes.
If you have not seen the breakdown of that clip, Matt Fries, who joins us especially during the draft, did a great breakdown on Fries football. It's posted up on the same spot, Climbing the Pocket Network's YouTube page. Go check it out. He will show you what exactly did go wrong, and it went wrong on 3 consecutive plays.
long story short, whose fault was it? Did Jefferson run a bad route, or did Kirk not throw it, or what was the deal?
Kirk didn't throw it. No, Jefferson run route, and on 3 consecutive plays was open. But on the first play, it was
he dumped it off to Cook in the middle there.
Yeah,
on the first play.
Right. And the second one was where he was. I think it was the second one was when O'Neal got waxed by Khalil Mack. He just blew by him, and Cousins had to step up. At that time, he was stepping up. Jefferson was open. By the time he got to where he could throw the ball, Jefferson was not, but Irv Smith was. And he threw it and hit Irv Smith in the chest and dropped the ball. And then the next one was against the backside where.
So basically, he was open and he didn't throw him the ball.
No, and then the next one, or at least the next one in the clip, he goes out to the left flag again, and Kirk threw it behind him instead of throwing to the flag.
Which happens to every team in every game in football ever since the beginning of time.
But 3 times in a row. Yeah.
Balls get poorly thrown. It's not even worth getting into, I don't think.
I mean, and it's just been that kind of year for the Vikings. I mean, you know, they just have not. They're not a good football team this year. I mean, a good football team would have converted that and scored, and the Vikings just are flat out not a good football team this year. They're just not.
And
New Orleans is, and it's going to be bad.
You got to make big plays, Ted. You know, you've been watching this game long enough. Big plays at big times. That's how you win these games. It's the NFL. Everybody's pretty good. If you don't make those handful of big plays.
He was, Richie. Now, as we all talked at the beginning of the season, we knew the defense was going to be behind the power curve, right? Because we're going to have a bunch of rookies and stuff play there. We suspected that the offense was going to be good because we had virtually everybody back, and we had Jefferson for Diggs. We didn't know how good Jefferson was going to be, but we were hoping he'd be satisfactory. Obviously, Jefferson is better than satisfactory. He's got a bright future ahead of him. But we all thought that this offense could be elite and score lots of points. However, I still believe that. It's just that we don't see that because of the way the game is played, the way the calls are going to be made, the way the whole offense works. They want to do it slow, steady, conservative, handoff, 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 handoff.
Aren't the Vikings ranked like 5th in the league in offense?
Yeah, but not in points.
Yardage-wise, yeah.
Yardage, but in points, they're 14th.
That's the problem. We go on these long, drawn-out 8-minute drives in the third quarter where we're, hand the ball. Oh, 3rd and 7, we'll dump it off. Hey, we got a first down. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. We get down inside the red zone. It's run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Oh, shit, where's Bailey? Can he make this one?
Yeah.
Instead of being able to score 35 points a game, which they should be able to, because they have the weapons to do such.
Right.
And come Friday, the only way I see them beating the Saints is to say, fuck that, we're going balls to the walls, all out, we're going to try to score as many points as we possibly can. Because barring that, they're not going to do it because...
We're not stopping New Orleans offense.
I don't see Kubiak doing that. The game plan every week is we're going to sit here and run the fucking ball as much as possible and throw it maybe once in a while. I mean, look at last week
and try to score. This week we're going to try to score. I mean, fuck.
Chicago was down their 2 starting cornerbacks and one of their fucking safeties, and we didn't throw deep until 5 minutes left in the third quarter last week.
You know what, Ryno? I really don't have a gripe here. I'd love to have a bitch and moan about it. I really would. Right. But last February, when Kubiak took over this team, I made post after post after post saying, I can't bitch when the season starts. Because I know he's conservative. I know Zimmer's conservative. I posted it. I wrote about it, and I knew it was going to happen. And I told everybody, if we're in molasses with this offense, it's coming. It's coming. The slow-mo running it, the bullshit, all that stuff is going to – so it's hard for me to bitch now when I knew it was coming down the pike. I seen it with Kubiak through the years. That's the biggest drawback with that guy is he's a wuss. He's too conservative. And I knew it was going to happen. And you get him and Zimmer together. How are we surprised that that's the problem? It's not surprising.
It's not surprising. It's more frustration than anything else because we all know what we could do, but these guys, refuse to do it. We got Dalvin Cook. We're going to hand him the ball 47 times a game, and that let Kirk throw it 15, and then he gets pressured on 13 of those 15. So
no, I agree.
Because we need guards.
We've seen the offense have the ability to do this. I mean, I can't remember what drive in the Bears game it was in, but there was one drive where they had double-digit yardage on like 4 or 5 plays in a row, and they get down into the red zone, and all of a sudden it's shit, now what do we do? And we kick field goals. And
They're worried
not
about
score
losing the field
touchdowns.
goal points, Chris. They're worried about losing that 3. I'm telling you, Kubiak is worried about losing that field goal. That's what happens.
Score 7, and you don't have to worry about getting 3.
Yep.
No, that kind of
let's
that kind
score
of
8
forward
because I don't want to
thinking
kick
is
a field
way
goal
too out of
anymore.
here for us, Chris.
Now let's look at the Saints injuries real quick.
Fuck the Saints.
Out of the starters there, you got Traquan Smith, wide receiver. Nick Easton's a backup that we know well. You know, another guy that we got rid of and then turned to be halfway decent.
Doesn't Granderson play center field for the Yankees?
Yes, he does.
Yeah,
He does.
Rob
He's one
Scott
of those
rolling of a
Bo
home run.
Jackson types. He's a hell of
Rob
an athlete.
Scott
He
rolling
can
of a
do
home run in
that.
the 2006 NLCS too.
And
Hey,
Marcus
Ted.
Williams is their free safety, starting free
Got
safety.
Buckeye trivia for you.
Yeah.
Who played? Oh wait, I don't want to ruin Dave's
Okay.
spot there.
All right.
It's Michael Jenkins related.
Okay.
You better be ready. Let that.
I am. I will be.
Remember, you got to use your mind, your brain, and your thoughts. Mind and brain and thoughts. It's going to take everything you got.
So, going back to this team, and the conservative play call, and I think we have all said at some point, either said or written, that this offensive philosophy is good, and it works if you have a good defense.
Yep.
When
the
you
most
looked
part.
at the numbers, yeah. When I
I
think
still
we're all
want
in
a
agreement there. And-
high-powered offense.
Well, sure. I mean, Mike Zimmer seems to be the only one that doesn't, but that's just an observation on my part. When your defense is bad, you got to do one of two things. You have to either make your defense better fast, and in the NFL, that's pretty hard to do once the season started, or you need to change your offensive philosophy and see if you can't score points in bunches, kind of like Eric Coryell. And the thing that frustrates me probably more than anything else is the Vikings have the pieces to do that. They can play ball control offense as well as anybody in the NFL. We've seen it with Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison when he's not hurt or whatever. But you've got Adam Thielen, you've got Justin Jefferson, you've got Irv Smith, you've got what's coming to be the husking shell of Kyle Rudolph, who, by the way, Kyle Rudolph and Eric Kendricks aren't going to play anymore this year. I don't see them taking the field. Whether
There's really no need for him to.
No, there's no point.
So I guess a big part of my frustration with this team is that they're either unwilling or unable to adjust their offensive philosophy when they know they have to. And I would argue they should have started doing it that way at the beginning of the year when we knew the defense would be young and untested and probably fairly bad. I didn't think they'd be as bad as they were. I mean, and they've gotten better, but I think a good part of the reason the Vikings are where they are is because they refuse to adapt to the environment they find themselves in with the defense not carrying the weight they usually carry.
Well,
And
Zimmer
Ted,
still.
you said unwilling or unable. I don't think it's a matter of unable. I think it's entirely unwilling because, like we said, we've seen this team put up points. We've seen this team put up yards when the situation calls for it. I just don't understand why the situation doesn't call for it all the time with this offense.
Yeah, I don't either.
I mean, like you said, we talk about Thielen and Jefferson and Irv Smith and Dalvin Cook and all these guys. The ability to do it is there, and Zimmer just won't do it. And I've been as much of a Mike Zimmer defender as anybody else is, but if you're not going to adjust at this point, maybe. And I don't think the Wilfs will do it, but maybe it's that time that Zimmer, despite his past track record of success, needs to be done in Minnesota. I mean,
one last thing.
somebody pointed out in one of the threads or whatever, and I think it was actually Flip on the post-game show. The Vikings fired Mike Tice after a season where he went 9-7 and had to deal with the Love Boat and had to deal with Dante getting his knee turned into spaghetti and all that. They fired that dude before he got back to the locker room after the game was over that day at the Dome.
Yep.
I get that the Wilfs like Mike Zimmer and that he's done a lot of good for this franchise, but you're running like the family truckster offense in a Daytona 500 world, basically. Yeah. And you can't do it's Christmas time. We had to get the National Lampoon family truckster.
Yeah, the rest of the NFL is Christy Brinkley pulling up in the Lamborghini
in the Corvette.
The family truckster offense. That's the greatest thing I think I've ever heard on this show.
If you think you hate it now, wait until you watch it on the field.
The one thing I'll say, and then I'll shut up for the rest of the night. If there was ever a Vikings offense that had the pieces to play shootout football, now that we know what Justin Jefferson can do, it's this offense. Mm-hmm. I mean, Irv Smith is probably, although he's not used like it, he's probably one of the 5 or 10 best pure pass-catching tight ends in the NFL. You put him, Jefferson, Thielen, you got Dalvin Cook. The Vikings have weapons, and they just, they're not willing to unleash the dragon, man.
Well, even look at what Tyler Conklin's done the last couple of weeks, and Rudolph's been out. I mean, looking at him and Smith, I mean, that makes it pretty much a foregone conclusion that we don't need Rudolph anymore, and we're going to thank him for his service.
Kyle Rudolph played his last game as a Viking.
What about you guys? I don't know if you guys do. I don't watch him. I don't watch the pressers, but what you just said, Ted Glover, does he get asked that question at the press conferences? Why don't you open it up more? What does he say to that?
He does not.
He doesn't get asked. The press does not, and I don't think it's unique to the Vikings beat reporters. They're pretty solid folks who do a pretty good job, but nobody in sports asks those kind of questions. They'll ask situational questions like, well, third down here, and what was your thought process running a pass here versus a run? They don't say, how come you're unwilling to change your philosophy? Because Mike Zimmer or coach whoever will get mad, and then they'll get embarrassed and whatever. I just there's none of that kind of questioning. I don't think.
Well, then you guys tell me, why is he unwilling? You guys tell me. I'll just sit here and take the answers. Why is he unwilling to open it up and be different?
He grew up a defensive coach. He's a defensive coach set in his ways.
Because he's stubborn and unwilling to change. He coaches like he still has an elite level defense, which is nowhere even close to the case.
No.
And he's always defense first. He wants his offense to do just enough to get a lead so that his defense can ride out with swords drawn and finish it off.
If you're the owner of a team,
you won't change that.
But what I'm saying right now is, you're the owner of a team. You sit down across the desk, and the guy's unwilling to do something. Why the fuck do you even keep him? He's unwilling to do something.
Well, you know my thoughts. If I was sitting in a Wolf's chair, he'd have been gone last year.
You're unwilling to change. This is my
because of stuff like that.
Come on, man. It just boggles my mind.
I mean, it is what it is.
Like Ted mentioned all the weapons, which are as good a weapons as anybody in football.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah,
absolutely.
Use it. Use those guys, man.
I mean, if you look at PFF and whatnot, we still have 2 of the 5 best wide receivers in football, which is absurd after we got rid of Stephon Diggs in Jefferson and Thielen. Irv Smith, we've talked about already. That guy needs to be used way more. And somebody even brought up Tyler Conklin. I mean, that guy hasn't done squat for about 2.5 years, but he finally gets his opportunity, and he's out there catching passes and picking up yards after the catch. I mean, I know we make Rudolph yard after the catch jokes because it happens like once every 6 weeks or something like that. But like I said, I think Kyle Rudolph's played his last game for Minnesota. It's going to suck to see him go because he's done quite a bit. But, with that contract and, I think the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season, he had like 10 catches or something just ridiculous. And he doesn't produce to the level of that contract anymore the way he used to. So I don't think he's going to be back. I think we're going to see a lot of guys that are not going to be back in 2021. These next couple of weeks are for determining who you build around in the long term. And I hope Dakota Dozier is not part of that long term because sweet Jesus, that guy's a slight upgrade from Orange Traffic Cone. I mean, God almighty, it's bad. Yeah. I mean, I've tripped over an orange traffic cone before, but I don't know. Yeah.
Orange cone Dozier.
I want to answer Viking Jerome's question here. Have we scored over 35 points any game this season? The answer is no.
No.
I thought we had. I looked it up. The most we've scored is 34 points twice this season. Mm-hmm. We've been over 30 4 times.
Well, now, have we given up more than 35 points?
The answer to that is yes.
Giving up 240 burgers.
Mm-hmm.
Twice at least, yeah.
The 240 burgers is it.
One of the reasons why we aren't scoring above 35 points. Interesting stat I heard the other day watching some of the podcasts and stuff. In the first half, the Vikings run on 60% of their plays. League average is just over 40.
And every single second down, regardless of yards to go.
Pretty close. I mean, I've been
47% on second down.
I've been keeping track. Yeah.
I spent 22 years around helicopter jet engines, and I could have swore you just said the Vikings run 60% of the time on first down. Is that what you just said?
In the first half, yes, that's exactly what I said.
Sweet mother of God.
60%. Yeah, 60 fucking percent of the time.
Kubiak.
And you wonder why we can't score more than 30 points a game. Because we're spending
conservative.
You know, when Kubiak goes to Vegas, I bet he plays the $2 tables. I bet that's all he does.
No,
he's playing the penny slots.
Penny slots, Ted. Penny slots, baby. Those penny slots. I just hit a $35.
You say that like it's bad.
I just hit a $35. I got 6 wild roses and I got $35 payout.
Mike, how was Vegas? Or Gary, how was Vegas? Well, did a little reading in the Christian Science reading room and went to the Pawn Stars guy's place, and that's about it. Didn't really do any gambling.
95 state special down at Wild Bill's or whatever it was.
Well, checked out the Fremont Street experience.
Christopher just mentioned that a lot of these players are going to be gone, and that was good information. I kind of think that, like you said way at the beginning, you don't care about some of these guys coming back, which I don't either. I'm with you on that handful of players that you talk about. Here's the thing, though. Players aside, they're bringing back the same regime. That's more frightening to me than any of the players that you want to go down the line of players. You're bringing the coach and the GM and that offensive coordinator back? You're going to go again with that? What? I'm worried about that more than Kyle Rudolph. Let me tell you. Yeah, I'm worried way more about that.
I totally agree.
I mean, realistically, the only coach that might be gone is Maloof, and that's not even a guarantee.
You're going to go into next season with the same brain trust? Are you shitting me? A brick sideways.
Watch tomorrow night, 9 o'clock Eastern, live, as GMG and 2 old bloggers gets together. Darren and I, one of the topics we are discussing will be, what will it take to get Mike Zimmer fired this season?
That's the topic I just fucking brought up. I want to discuss it now.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to pimp it.
Go ahead, Drew. Drew, you started off.
Let's do the 2 bloggers pregame show. Let's do it.
I asked the question. Dave did a good segue there. I guess I'll wait till tomorrow and hear it on that show. Hear the answer.
But
you get it now?
With these last 2 games that the Vikings have to play, what we as fans, at least in my opinion, need to be watching is for the players that are stepping up and wanting to prove themselves for either the Vikings or for their next team and are willing to play, and to look for the players that have already checked out and got their tee times down in Florida. Because that is something that I want to keep an eye on to see who gives up and who doesn't, because it'll tell us something about who does get brought back next year and who should be let go, in my opinion.
Buddy, this whole team looks like they've checked out multiple times this year.
And that was the one question. with as bad as some of these guys are playing, how do you know if they've checked out or if they're actually trying?
Or if they're that bad.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You know, Dakota Dozier, I don't think's checked out, but I think he's that bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
So earlier, I saw a question from Mary Fish. She asked for scores of the game, and I'm going to sound like a terrible Vikings fan here, because this kind of rolls into what will it take for Zimmer to get fired, and I would hate to see my favorite football team get their tits licked, as Drew Bunting calls it, 2 weeks in a row and end up 6-10. But I think if they get this kind of goes back to the Saints playoff game last year. There was a whole lot of speculation that the Vikings were going to get just beat bad, and if that happens, Zimmer was going to get shown the door. And if that happens this week and last week, I think their last game of the year is at Detroit. You know, if they lose those two games and the Vikings end up 6-10, and they don't look good, and it looks like the team is quitting like they have on multiple games this year, I think he would have a very good case for dismissing Mike Zimmer. If he wins these last two games and they go 8-8,
there's no chance he's getting shown the door.
They're not getting fired. They're not. I don't think. That's just me.
And if that happens, then there's no chance of there's probably no chance of him getting rid of Kubiak as the offensive coordinator. And then, like you said,
nope, they're buddies.
Same damn thing. But in an ideal world, I would like to see, Mike Zimmer. Like I said, I don't mind Mike Zimmer as the head coach, but he if he was more willing to change the offensive philosophy, like bring in some kind of a young, dynamic offensive coordinator, that's never going to happen. Yeah, I know. And yeah, we tried it with John DeFilippo and it went badly. But I mean, I don't know. This team has the talent to score points, and they don't. And it's because the offensive philosophy is something out of the late 90s, because that's what Zimmer was successful with as a part of different coaching staffs in Dallas and whatnot. And
yeah, but Dallas didn't run this conservative back then.
Yeah, they were. You look at Troy Aikman's stats. He wasn't a world. He didn't set the world.
No, it was the Emmett Smith show back then.
And,
I mean,
and
offensive line, it was
an offensive line was one of the best in football.
That Dallas offensive line, one of us could have run for 1,000 yards behind that Dallas offensive line. And they were that good. I mean, they were just ridiculous. I mean, you look at Larry Allen and
maybe
Eric
not
Williams
Dave Stefano,
and Stepnoski, and I don't know.
Was Randy White on the offensive or defensive
I seen Dave Stefano run between the tackles. If you need 3 yards, he's getting you 3 yards. You need 8 yards, he's getting you 1 yard.
Yeah.
Well, but being that's the case, why doesn't he try to mirror that offensive line? That's what blows my mind.
They've tried and they've failed.
You know what? You go get Larry Allen right now. He's better than Dakota Dozier. You start him Sunday, he's better right now.
Yeah.
And Ed White right now is better than Dakota Dozier.
Eddie!
And Ed White's like 74.
Get Ed White in the Hall of Fame. For fuck's sake, I'm sick of talking about it. Get
Amen.
Ed White in the Hall of Fame.
All right, with that, we're going to wrap it up. But once around the horn, Ryno, what do you think is going to happen in this game? And last words.
I honestly don't know. I don't have a great feeling about it. Drew Brees looked bad when he came back last week. I watched their game, but he's also been off for 6 weeks, and the guy has like 9 cracked ribs, so I can understand that. And they don't have Michael Thomas, which will make things a little bit easier for Gladney and Dantzler back there. But I mean, we realistically have nothing to play for now. So like we were talking a little bit ago, it's going to be interesting to see if these guys, and I keep saying it, if they have any pride in themselves and pride in how they're playing, or if they're just going to check out and say, hey, we're sitting here on Christmas Day. We should be home with our families, but now we're out here playing for nothing, blah, 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 blah. And we sleepwalk through 3.5 quarters before we maybe decide to score a few points at the end. So, I mean, like I said, but then again, the Jets beat the Rams last week, so anything can happen. So it's not much of an answer, but that's all I got.
Ted, same question.
One of two things are going to happen. The Vikings are going to be completely checked out, and they're going to get their brakes beat off of them. Or they're going to get their brakes beat off for 3 quarters, and then Kirk Cousins is going to throw up a bunch of yards, and because now that the pressure's off, or Kirk Cousins is going to have a great game, and it's going to be like that Rams Thursday night game shootout a couple years ago, where it was back and forth, but they were always kind of down by like 1 or 2 scores, but they'd score and keep it close, but eventually lose. I'm just having a hard time seeing, with nothing to play for and a bad defense completely depleted by injury, them being able to keep pace with the Saints and winning the game. They could make it interesting, but I think if they get down by like 2 scores early, and the Superdome gets rocking. Oh, wait, my bad. That it's going to be hard for the Vikings to play a good football game, and I just happy I get to watch my grandkids open up presents Christmas morning, because I think Christmas Day afternoon could be kind of a.
Yeah, but we got after that, at least planning for me, since I can't be down with my grandson, is the game. GMG in the Raw, of course, 15 minutes afterwards, 10 to 15 minutes afterwards. And then after that, I'm going to sit down and watch Wonder Woman 1984. A little bit of eye candy for me.
Ho, ho, ho.
Can't go wrong with Gal Gadot.
No.
Who?
Wonder Woman.
The star of Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot.
Right.
I'll send you a picture.
Dave is waiting for Godot.
Yeah. Chris.
Look her up, Drew.
Chris, what do you think is going to happen in final words?
I'd like to think that the Vikings are going to pull off some sort of miracle victory and whatnot, and we've talked about the personnel and things like that, but I just spent 4 quarters watching this team being unable to stop Mitch Trubisky at home. And I don't know what the hell this team is going to do against the Saints offense. I mean, the Saints defense has been one of the best units in the league this year. And I think it was in the preview that I did before the Green Bay game at Green Bay, I said one of the keys to the game was literally to score a touchdown on every offensive possession. And for the first 4 possessions of that Packers game, the Vikings did that, and then they kind of fell off. But I don't see how they're going to stop the Saints. I honestly don't. If they just got waxed by Mitch Trubisky,
and with 3 quarters,
they're
going
to give up a lot of points. Yeah,
injured.
Yeah, they're going to give up a lot of points, and like we said, this team doesn't want to play shootouts, so I don't think it's going to go well.
Hey, Chris, I got a question for you.
Sir,
would you be willing to join us after the show for GMG in the Raw live Friday?
Yeah, why not?
Sweet.
Why not? We can continue the airing of grievances, Festivus style, after whenever. I got a feeling there's got to be there's going to be a lot of grievances that need to be aired after this one. So yeah.
Every time Christopher Gates joins us, an angel gets its wings.
As long as they're barbecue wings, that's fine. I don't think that's what you're talking about. But.
Drew, wrap it up for us.
That answered a question, because I was going to start my little spot off here by saying, Chris, I got some draft questions I'd like to ask you about draft positioning, but I know we don't have time today, so I was going to ask you if you can be back on, and if you can be back
Trey Lance,
on.
QB1.
We'll go over that. Let's go over that in the Raw. I'd love to hear I need your takes on that, but I know we don't have time tonight. And
got the slide ready though.
There we go. I wanted to go over that. Put that on the agenda, Chris. Be ready to answer these draft questions. You got to use your mind. You got to use your brain. Listen,
head, shoulders, knees, and toes. I get it.
The Vikings are getting bent over the pool table this week, guys. This is the revenge game for the Saints. This is the Diggs miracle. This Rudy catch in overtime, the Thielen grab over the top. All of it's going to come to fruition. I wouldn't be surprised if Sean Payton fakes a punt up 40-0.
Wow. Could be.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
That's solid. Yeah, I
wouldn't be
me
surprised
either.
if they're passing, if they're up 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, passing, throwing the ball around, they're going to let it. They're unleashing it all. The Saints are bringing it all. This is their revenge game. They have this pent-up anger at the Vikings. The Vikings have dicked them all these years in a row and knocked them out of the playoffs. It's all coming. The Vikings are in. You can't deny the Vikings are in prime setup to have this happen to them too. They are. They are walking right into it. Look at this team. Yep. You all know it. I can see it on Ted's face. They are primed for the ass whipping Friday. So I'm just gonna leave it with that.
I don't know if you guys are scholars of military history, but this might be Dien Bien Phu for the Vikings.
You know what?
Yep.
And you can send all the messages saying Drew's not a real fan or whatever. I'm just telling you, this is what it feels like to me. I have a feeling that Brees, all of them
we're going to be in
go.
We're going to be in deep foo on Friday, I think. But.
Yeah,
I'm glad you didn't. I'm glad you said it, but I didn't want to. But this is going to be a bad day, man. Bad day. They're setting up. They're up 35-0, setting up for a field goal, and they fake it and throw a touchdown to make it 42-0. That kind of shit. And
they're going to go Ohio State on Michigan
to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Sean Payton's big enough to want to hang a 50 burger.
But
wait, I get to throw the trivia out. Michael Jenkins, senior year, Ohio State. Yeah. Who was his wide receiver opposite Jenkins, and who was the starting quarterback?
Chris Gamble and wait a minute. 02. When did he get? I'm still going to say Chris. I'm going to say Chris Gamble was his opposite wide receiver, and then Craig Krenzel was the quarterback.
Oh, you got it! You never disappoint, Ted Glover. I would also took Santonio Holmes. He was another wide receiver that started opposite Jenkins. I was going to take Gamble.
Okay.
Santonio Holmes and Krenzel. Dude, you nailed it. Trivia back. Boom. Love it.
Go Bucks, baby.
Hopefully, Friday will be like
I hope the Vikings win.
Hopefully, Friday, Christmas Day, we'll get an unsuspected present, and that the Vikings, on any given Friday in this case, pull this one out. Until then, everybody, have a very, very Merry Christmas from Good Morning Gallahorn. All of us want to extend from our families to yours a safe and happy holiday. Thank everybody for joining us tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow night for Two Old Bloggers. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and happy holidays. SKOL Vikings!
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas Eve, everybody.
Merry Christmas, all.
Hi, Ruby. See you in 5 minutes, Ruby.
Thank you for watching or listening. As always, if you like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. And if you're listening to the podcast, please rate us on your favorite aggregator. SKOL, everybody.